Reach the fingers out that are bothering you. Now, is the pain gone?
Jim Jones used his many narcissistic traits to his advantage. Through his sermons and healing, so-called, he made people believe in his grandiose claims, as he deliberately took advantage of people for selfish reasons. In this video, we'll explore some of the ways Jones deceived people, what makes Jones's statements deceptive, what are the linguistic warning signs we need to be aware of. Today, there are still many deceivers who are trying to make people believe their lies, from certain political leaders who feign being compassionate and caring, to self-professed psychic mediums.
But I'm here as a sample and example to show you that you can bring yourself up with your own bootstraps, and you can become your God, not in condescension, but in resurrection, in upliftment from whatever condition, economic injustice or servitude or racism you might have had to endure. Within you rest the keys of deliverance. That's right. We ask for no condescending sinners. We want no help from some judgment hall. That has been pawned off on us too long.
Several narcissistic traits are on display here. The words
sample and example
show Jones's grandiose sense of self-importance, that he's special and unique. The words show that he's preoccupied with what people think of him, which is the narcissist's need for admiration. In that regard, it's interesting that the word condescension is on his mind, since he's literally speaking from an elevated position as
sample and example
who's there to show people the way, allegedly. When others are doing it, it's bad. When he's doing it, it's good.
Or racism you might have had to endure.
Jones was skilled at appealing to people's emotion, particularly playing on people's indignation, which is what he does here. When people are in their emotions, they're more likely to believe what they're hearing and follow suit. This is a way for Jones to feign being understanding.
That's right. We ask for no condescending sinners. We want no help from some judgment hall.
This is isolating rhetoric. Jones doesn't want to compete with other saviors or people who judge, since he wants people to look to him for guidance and judgment. In that sense, he's everything that he says we don't want. With the pronoun we, he addresses people as a group and presupposes that everybody shares his beliefs. When people think of themselves as group members, they're easier to control and they find it uncomfortable or impossible to disagree. And Jones was hypersensitive to criticism, which has to do with the narcissist's entitlement, anger when people don't cater to them.
From the lowest of economic positions, from the misery of poverty near the railroad tracks, I came to show you that the only God you need is within you. None other. That's my only purpose in being here.
Narcissists frequently fake humility to appear relatable and disguise their sense of self-importance. Jones can use his reference to poverty to not only make his congregation relate, but also to make his sacrifice seem that much greater, as if he's doing them a favor. Jones claims that this is his only purpose in being there, which actually suggests the opposite, that he's aware of other purposes that he deliberately doesn't share. This is similar to Peter Lundin, a Danish-American who was convicted of the murder of his mother. In the following, he lies about how his mother died.
One day, it's one dark afternoon, my mother attacked me, and the only thing I did was push her away. When she fell down, her neck broke.
Lundin choked his mother. She didn't die from falling. The only thing I did is self-protective language, showing a high level of self-awareness and suggesting that he knows he did more than only that, especially because he goes on to say this.
Every man has a demon that lives within him, but to control that demon, that's the hard part. That's the key. Control, self-control.
Did you in your life meet the demon within you?
Yeah, sure. I met him shake down. I made love with the demons within me.
In the following, despite the facts that Jones makes it clear that he's merely using religion as a means to an end, people still can't stop praising him. This shows the level of mind control that powerful demagogues in celebrity and political culture strive for and most often succeed with.
I come in the phenomena of religion to get people out of religion. I came the very God of heaven in all of its might and fullness. All the you said God had, I have come to make one final dissolution. Yes. One final elimination of all religious opinion. There's no room in the consciousness of truth for religious opinion. And until I have eradicated it from the face of the earth, I shall do all the miracles that you said your God would do and never did. I shall come and heal you of all the diseases that you prayed for that never happened.
From a religious perspective, God is the highest possible authority. So when Jones plays on people's indignation about God not answering their prayers, he's making himself out to be more than God. Thus, he's the highest possible authority. So what are the miracles he refers to?
You saw the woman today that did not give the message that I told her, but she said, I will be with you because I gave her a message that saved her child's life. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed by fire. You've seen all the gifts and faculties of the woman that moved down the aisle when I told her, I, God, command you to walk, and she walked. Not only did she walk, but she ran around this place. But all that is done that I might eliminate all of the condescending Savior images that you have. To remove all the judgment hall concepts and all the heavens and the sky.
Jones used these healings to make people believe what was merely his own deluded, grandiose sense of self-importance.
You have a bad spinal condition.
Yes.
And your hip is injured.
Yes.
Step from your wheelchair. Begin to step from your wheelchair. Try it. Just try it. Just try it. We have nothing to lose. We have no face to lose because we've said we're no panacea. But I have seen more healings here than I've ever seen any place. I love you. Jesus Christ loves you. Jehovah Jireh. All the goodness of all the world's great religions, in the name and the mercy and the goodness of Jesus, wherein I stand. Take that step. Bless your heart. Take that step. Move forward. Move forward. You can do it. Move forward. Now begin to exercise the hip. Begin to exercise the joint. I love you. Christ loves you. The people love you. Now, sister, walk briskly. Walk. Walk briskly. Walk. Walk.
She doesn't look so surprised or thrilled for someone who's just been healed. Occam's razor is an academic tool for shaving off unlikely explanations, so when faced with two different explanations for the same phenomenon, the simplest explanation is most likely to be correct. Here, the simplest explanation is that the people Jones pretends to heal are plants, and thus that he either knows about their conditions or they don't have any conditions at all. However, to consider the more complex explanation, he's doing what all faith healers do. He puts on a show to create an ecstatic environment where the mental and physical health of people who are completely wrapped up in the warm feeling they get from feeling like they belong to a group appears to improve after taking a placebo treatment. This is known as the placebo effect. His showmanship makes what's happening appear that more incredible.
All the goodness of all the world's great religions.
Even though he just denounced religion in his sermon.
I come in the phenomena of religion to get people out of religion.
This is another narcissistic trait, since everything narcissists say and do has a self-serving and self-aggrandizing purpose. They don't have actual principles. Thus, in a twisted way, it makes sense that Jones pretends to embrace all great religions to gain as big a following as possible. Why? So that more people will admire him. To this end, he uses overly pious language, which is another warning sign.
You saw the woman today that did not give the message that I told her, but she said, I will be with you because I gave her a message that saved her child's life.
With this particular example, Jones actually instructs his followers to be with him, as in looking to him for guidance.
All of the condescending Savior images that you have. To move all the judgment hall concepts and all the heavens in the sky.
Unbeknownst to the congregation, this is projection on Jones's part. He's the one who's actually condescending and judging, seeking to get rid of all other saviors and people who judge, so that he doesn't have to compete with anyone for people's affection and devotion. In the following, he does what certain political leaders and celebrities do today. He uses buzzwords that tickle people's ears. The buzzwords were the same then as they are today.
God is perfect freedom, justice, equality, and thus the only thing that brings perfect justice, freedom, and equality, perfect love in all of its beauty and holiness is socialism. So God is socialism. And socialism is God.
Socialism is God. I'm gonna need a chapter and verse on that. What kind of freedom, justice, and equality? The kind that he defines, approves of, and demands that people accept, which is the opposite of freedom, which again is exactly why he monopolizes that word. By monopolizing freedom, justice, and equality, he can create an us and them discourse, making it look like morality belongs to us, and that everything that contradicts this morality is unfree, unjust, and unequal, and that everyone who disagrees with him about what these terms mean is an antagonist. With these buzzwords, Jones is being intentionally vague. Ambiguity is the glue of politics, as ambiguity allows people to agree with opinions, because they can read different meanings into the words, which again speaks to Jones's lack of any real principles. His only principle is that everything he says and does must have a self-aggrandizing purpose.
And the twain have been married. In this dispensation I have taken upon myself a body, the same one that walked in the plains of Mamre, of whom Solomon said his hair was as black as a raven, and he would shave, as Isaiah said, 7:20, he will shave after those days with a razor. I come shaving with a razor. I come with the black hair of the raven. I came as a God socialist to eliminate all your false gods and opinions.
It's a warning sign when preachers use the Bible as an afterthought to make certain passages fit whatever self-serving message they're conveying. Jones chooses passages that make him look unique and disregards and even ridicules the rest. Jones's statements have nothing to do with the Bible. Instead, they're designed to make people perceive him as an ubermensch. Jones is proficient at disguising his need for admiration as doing people a favor. By doing this, he encourages people to be grateful, and grateful people don't ask questions.
When that administration has been done, then I shall go into the obscurity of the conscious collective principle, socialism, and will have no need to make any further intrusion in the affairs of man.
That doesn't sound pretentious at all. This is vague, grandiose language that speaks to his self-perception and disguises his ulterior motives, because the last thing a narcissist wants to do is to go into obscurity. With this, Jones gives his followers a false sense of this being an earnest pursuit, and this only being a political struggle. Jones holds out prospects of an end goal to his congregation that isn't his real end goal. Thus, he feigns being a leader who's only committed to the cause for the sake of his congregation.
And will have no need to make any further intrusion in the affairs of man.
He says pretentiously, as if he's more than a man, which corresponds to the self-sacrifice he's deceptively making his political mission sound like it is.
Men have so dastardly distorted what my spirit is that it is necessary for me to come upon the scene, and I have. I shall show you from time to time proofs of that, so that you will have no further need of religion, because the highest authority tells you that you have no further need of it. I've come doing all the things you ever imagined God to do, and have never seen done, that it is necessary for me to come upon the scene.
Jones keeps using words that make his mission sound like it's for the common good. Self-aggrandizement masked as altruism.
Proofs of that.
What proof?
Sister Ingram, you're concerned about the losing of your sight. You're not able to see me clearly. Things just blur to you. You have to stumble around lately through crowds and are not able to see even people's faces close up to you clearly.
That's true.
You've told me nothing about your condition. Is that correct?
No, I haven't.
give that little sweetheart a little bit of love. Thank you, baby. Take your glasses off. I love you. The people love you. And most importantly, Christ loves you. What do you see? How many fingers?
3.
One finger. You don't even need your glasses, child.
Jones takes advantage of the emotions people have for what they call God. Emotions that, to a large extent, have to do with the sense of belonging, no matter how false that sense is, and are reinforced when being in a room full of people who presumably believe the same. Thus, it's no coincidence that Jones talks about this woman being loved before asking her how many fingers he holds up.
I love you. The people love you. And most importantly, Christ loves you.
He did the same with the woman in the wheelchair.
I love you. Jesus Christ loves you.
With the entire room supporting these people who are in need of healing, allegedly. A perceived healing is bound to happen, and it has nothing to do with anything supernatural, but everything to do with Jones's knowledge of basic human psychology. It's the same tactic that modern-day faith-healing frauds use.
You've told me nothing about your condition. Is that correct?
No, I haven't.
This speaks to how self-aware Jones is, that this charade is all about him, that he's there to convince people into seeing him as special. He's not there to attribute what he's pretending to do to a higher power than him, and as the highest power, according to him, he's entitled to speak to people in a belittling tone.
You don't even need your glasses, child.
How's that for not being condescending?
All of the condescending savior images that you have.
Self-professed psychic mediums do the same. They ask the plants or naive relatives if they've met them before. And in the right lighting, many people who are registered as blind can see blurred shapes and colors, enough to see the number of fingers that a person's holding up. Jones takes advantage of the fact that the audience doesn't know the extent of the woman's condition, in case there even is one.
It's beautiful to know God is a socialist worker. You can identify with that. God is a socialist worker. He is one of the people. He's an instrument of all that you have desired. All that freedom embraces, all that justice embodies, everything that sensitivity imbibes, that is what your God is.
So in other words, this concept of God is whatever Jones says it is, as people are invited to think of Jones as God, based on the undefined, vague terms, freedom, justice, and now sensitivity, whatever that means, nothing of course. The only reason why Jones knows who his false God is because it's who he is, the false impression he wants to give people about who he is. Same as when preachers today say they've had revelations that strangely enough always benefit them. Jones uses affected prosody, which is when speakers manipulate their voice somehow to convey emotion.
That is what your God is.
In the final excerpt, Jones keeps using fake humility to disguise his self-aggrandizement.
And I must say it is a great effort to be God. I wish it upon another, but no one else in the particular stratum of the class consciousness that we are evolving in has the faculty that I do. When they do, I'll be glad to hold their coat. In the meantime, I shall be God, and beside me there shall be no other.
The time will never come for Jones to hold another person's coat, which is exactly why he says it. He needs to put on a show of humility because he has none. This is overcompensating language. While Jones is an extreme example and what he did was particularly destructive, many of the same linguistic tactics, right down to the same buzzwords, are used by certain political leaders today, and often to the detriment of the very same people who support the given leader. Jones is an example of a dangerous demagogue who used the right terms, providing people with false hope of a savior. Himself, he spoke about warmth and love because he stood for the opposite.
A salutary kiss of greeting to your neighbor. Let's fill this atmosphere with warmth and love.
As many of my videos have indicated, it's oftentimes the people with the biggest need to emphasize how compassionate and inclusive they are, who are the least compassionate and inclusive. See you next time.